Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth, this is Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, and this is Flosstube number 57. Okay, so this is Flosstube 57, I said that already. Today is March the 1st, 2024, and yeah, so I have quite a bit of stuff to show you. I feel like 3 weeks, if that's how long it's been since my last video. I feel like 3 weeks is a good time frame for me because last time I had a lot to show. I have a lot to show now. And yeah, so we have 4 projects. And I can't remember the date of my last video. Okay, I had started Ruby, yeah. So I have 1 new start, I have 1 finish, and then 2 whips. And then I also worked on socks, Musselburgh, and granny squares. So I have knitting, crochet, and cross stitch all in this video to show you today. What else? I also have some plans that I'm going to discuss later that have to do with the new Lola Crow stitch along. And then I'll just talk about some random things that I've been up to that I want to share with you. So let's get into the projects. Alright, the very first project that I worked on since my last video was I'm Just Ken, which is a pattern that I designed and released like last August, I believe. And I've never finished the model before I released the pattern, so this is my model, I guess. But this is what it's gonna look like, or I guess what the mock-up looks like. And this is what I have so far. So I actually restarted this. I guess I should preface by saying this, I was encouraged to work on this by my WhipGo board. I think the WhipGo goal was to stitch on something with words. So down here you can actually see my first start. This is 32 count Lugana by Picture This Plus in the color Mercedes. And when I started this project, I had started it 2/1 tent stitch. And although this like looks fine on camera, I guess, if you really look at it, I'm just not the biggest fan because it just doesn't look tidy, and I feel like the entire chart is kind of like almost like squished and slanted. So I decided to restart it. It's gonna be really big, but I honestly don't really care. I don't really know how I'm going to finish it or anything like that, but I'm much happier with the process of stitching this now that I'm doing it the traditional way of 2/2. So I wanted to get in some of the words because the prompt was a project with words. So I did his head because that was in the corner, so that I could count over to the words. So I got that started. So I just did like a little over 500 stitches to get this far. But yeah, so that's where that is. That's where that's at. Yeah, no strong plans to have this finished anytime soon. I'm not really too worried about. Really, the only reason why I would want to finish it somewhat soon is so I could update the cover photo on the listing for the pattern, but that's not, I think it's fine. We'll get to it when I get to it. So that is I'm Just Ken. Okay, so the next thing that I worked on, well actually I'll skip that one because it's a finish. Let me do, I guess we'll just do all the whips and then I don't know. None of this is in order, I guess. It's just kind of random. But anyway, so the next project I'm going to show you is Love Boat Sampler by Ardith Design. It looks like this, and this is what it would have looked like last time I showed it to you. I feel like my camera angle is just like a little bit different today. Anyway, okay, so this is what mine looks like now. So I've made a ton of progress on this. I could probably pull up my computer and tell you how many stitches, but I did not write that down. So yeah, this fabric is 36 count linen by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers in the color Summer Soiree, and I'm using my own color conversion, which I have typed up in a Word doc or a page, like Google Pages that no, it's not called Pages, Google Doc, I don't know. I will link it below if you're interested. It's mostly color and cotton with some DMC and a couple forbidden fiber flosses. But yeah, I've been focused on this because, as I will tell you in my plans later, this is one of the next projects I would like to finish. So I've actually was stitching on this morning, and I've already gotten over 200 stitches in. I kind of was working on this side of the sampler, but I don't think I'm even at 50% yet. So, but I think the total pattern has like 7,000 something stitches. So even though I'm not at 50% yet, like there's still like 4,000 something stitches left. So I feel like that's pretty manageable, where I could get it done in the next month or so. But I'll talk more about that in plans. So, yeah. Also, I guess since I'll just kind of have a little brief interlude here, I got a lap stand. So, and I was just stitching with it this morning with this project. So this is the K Creations lap stand. I got it from a seller on Etsy, which I can link for you below. And it's a very popular lap stand. I think most people who get a lap stand, like, this is a big contender if they don't get this one, but I've been enjoying it so far. So technically, based on pictures and things, like, I would be sitting and it would be where this arm is on my left side, and then, you know, you put your project in here. But in order to do two-handed stitching, I found that it's actually easier if I have this on my right side, because to do two-handed stitching, I like to have my left hand on top, and if I have this piece on the left side, there's nowhere for my hand to kind of like rest, or like I kind of have to hold my arm up just to stay out of the way of the clamp here. So I was messing around with doing that this morning, and it was actually really nice. So it did take a minute to adjust like which direction to turn the screw, because I had flipped the orientation of it. But yeah, I really like it, and I think it's gonna be great to bring with me to the stitching retreats I'm going to this year, which are Stitch North and StitchCon. So I'm really excited to have this in my little crafty arsenal now. But yeah, I've been enjoying that, so I figured I'd just show and share that info. So yeah, anyway, this is Love Boat Sampler. All right, next up is, should we do a start or finish? Let's do a finish. I had a finish. So I had started this month on like February the 2nd, I think. I started Love Letters Ruby, which is a Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery pattern, and I finished Ruby last night. So here she is. If I can see what I'm doing. There she is. I think the shadow that you're seeing is from my phone. In front of the window. But anyway, there's Ruby. This is the same fabric that Love Boat Sampler's on, and I stitched with all the Call for DMC. And what's even better, I finished her boyfriend Ralph last year, so now I have both my little raccoons. They're so cute. So I eventually will finish these into little pillows. I have some red velveteen that I want to use for the back, and some white pom-pom trim to go around the edges. But yeah, I'm really excited to have them both done, and they look so sweet. So that's that. And you can still see the hoop marks on this, honestly, but it'll be okay because I'm gonna end up cutting, I haven't decided my margin yet, but it'll be pretty close and you won't be able to tell them. Even though I did iron it, I'm definitely not like a professional ironer or anything, and I'm not sure if my iron is like the best for like crafting, but we work with what we got. So anyway, okay, let's show you my new start. Okay, so this pattern is really special to me. I started this a couple days after Valentine's Day, I think. And this is the Token by Long Dog Sampler. So this is what the chart looks like. it is a monochromatic sampler, but I really wanted to kind of alter it to be my wedding colors, which were fuchsia and navy. So I actually recharted this entire chart, and so it could, for two reasons. So I could map out where I wanted to use certain colors, and also so that I could use it in Pattern Keeper, because for some reason I couldn't get the PDF that I purchased to work with it. So anyway, I recharted the whole thing, and so this is the mock-up of what mine is gonna look like, with my pink and my blue. So like I said, I started this a few days after Valentine's Day, and this is what it looks like so far. And so the floss that I chose are both color and cotton. The pink one is called Magician, and the blue one is called Royal Blue. And then the fabric that I ended up going with is 40 count Picture This Plus in the color Fog. And yeah, so I think it's gonna look so good. I'm really excited about it. And I just got a good start on it when I started it that weekend, and I haven't pulled it back out since. But yeah. Oh, I'm really excited to stitch with more of the pink, because the threads that I pulled for this were all like part of the medium and dark, but if you look closely, you can see some of these strands are pretty light, like this one. So I'm excited to stitch with more of the pink, because it's like it's a lot more variegated than the blue one, but I think they're both looking so good with each other, and I think this is going to be really special when it's done. So yeah, I don't have any like hardcore plans for like a schedule to keep up with to, you know, keep consistent progress on this or anything, but I imagine that I probably will once I get some of my whips down. But this project is like 200 by 235 or something like that, so I wasn't really concerned about having to like finish a bunch of projects before I started this one, because I know that this one's going to be around for a while just because it is so large, and we got to keep our goals realistic. So that is the token by Long Dog Samplers. And that also is all of my whips. So like I said, I just worked on the 4 things, but I've been making lots of progress, because like Ruby, I had only had her started last time you saw it, so she's all done, and then my Love Boat Sampler has gotten a lot of love this month as well. So I think I guess for Whip Go for February, this is not my plan section, I guess, but we'll just touch on it really quick. My Whip Go calls for February were a project with plants and a project with words. So I'm Just Ken checked off my project with words, and then in my last video I had met the goal of project with plants by stitching on Greenhouse of Oddities. So I am all clear. I'm staying good and caught up with my Whip Go, so we'll talk about March Whip Go when I get to the plans. But for now, let's get into some knitting. Okay, so I worked on 2 knitting projects these past few weeks, and one of the projects is, well, I only have two knitting projects. The first one is my socks. So I actually finished a sock. This is some fiber seed yarn, and this one is called Unicorn Tears, and this one is called Litmus. So yeah, I have one sock finished. I have not started casting on the second sock yet, but I do plan to start it soon, just to have it started, so I like have the pressure, or not the a better word to use than pressure, I don't know, but to have the, I guess, the motivation to make sure that I actually do the second sock, because I do want to wear these. So yeah, but anyway, I still have my markers on here because I'm gonna use those to help me know how long to make my other sock, so I don't have to keep measuring. I can just count the rows. But this is just a vanilla sock pattern. I used the Crazy Sock Lady, and I think I did a size medium. I don't know how many. I think it might be 15 rounds for the cuff, and I did maybe 30 rounds for the leg. So yeah, anyway, my sock is done. Just need to start the second one. And then the second knitting project that I worked on was Bobby's Musselburgh Hat, and I got a lot done on this as well. So this yellow mark is where I was in my last video. So I got a good, I don't know, it's probably like 2.5 inches or so that I was able to get. I'm just at the point now where I just have to keep knitting in the round until it's long enough to where I would start decreasing again. Let's see, this yarn is Big Sky Yarn Company in the color Grizzly Bear, and it is a fingering weight yarn. And I actually took my knitting on a walk with me the other day. I've been watching a lot of Knitty Natty, and she had talked about taking her yarn or her knitting on a hike, and she like bought this like chalk bag like you use for mountain climbing, and that's what she put her yarn in, and then she would just knit while she was hiking. And I was like, that's so cool. Like now it just motivated me to like see where else I could knit rather than just, you know, the couch or like in the car while Bobby's driving or something like that. So yeah, I took my knitting, this project specifically, on a walk with Wilson, and so I just kind of strapped him around my waist, and I wore a backpack in the front, and that I kept my yarn in, and I just knitted while I walked my dog. So that was pretty fun. Thankfully it was warm enough, like it was still chilly outside because it's still technically winter, but it was warm enough where I didn't need to wear gloves, and my hands didn't get cold. So, but I just had my headphones on and my sunglasses, and I was knitting away while walking Wilson. And I don't know, I mean, I didn't pay attention to who was looking at me, but I'm sure anybody who figured out what I was doing probably thought it was very interesting. But yeah, it was a good time. So I actually have not, this was a 100-gram cake of yarn or skein of yarn, and this still has 70 grams on it, and I was gonna knit until it got to like closer to 50. So I do want to give myself some wiggle room, like a couple grams of wiggle room, but I want to make sure that I catch when this is at 50, so I know where the halfway point is on my hat, so I can start knowing when like I would need to knit that much more before I start decreasing. Anyway, that's my kind of thought process so far for my hat. So that is my knitting. And then in the same vein of yarn, I have been crocheting more granny squares for this granny square cardigan that I just randomly decided was going to be a great thing to start working on. So I think this was the one that I made first that I showed you in my last video. And I have since made 5 more granny squares, and so I now have at least one of every variant. So these are kind of like sisters, if you will, because the center and the background color are swapped. And then these are also sisters. And then these together. So yeah, so now that I know like all the different combinations, and this was also enough squares where I could kind of like lay them out on a cardigan that I already own to kind of figure out how many squares I need to make. And I've determined that I need to make 44 granny squares. And I also like made a cute little sketch of kind of how I'm gonna lay them out and arrange the different patterns next to each other. So yeah, I also told myself that I needed to kind of pump the brakes on this for a second, just because I have some other project focuses that I want to tackle. But I did start a 7th granny square, which is still attached to the yarn, but it's again another pink one with the white flower and red center. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of like a project that just kind of sits over here, and if I maybe don't have a lot of time after work to really zone in on something, I could get a few rounds in, because it's a lot less, or I guess it's a lot more relaxed to just pick it up and crochet a little bit than it is to kind of get all my cross stitch set up, because cross stitch is something that I really like to like sit there and get a good hour or more in. Just because I feel like that's for me personally, that's how long I feel like I need to sit there and cross stitch so that I feel like I actually made some progress. Because I love seeing some progress. But yeah, so that's all my projects for cross stitch, crochet, and knitting. And I think we can talk about, well, I'll show you my haul really fast, and then we'll talk about plans. All right, first up in the haul is my Color and Cotton Floss of the Month. and both of these monthly clubs are for February, but these were the flosses for, and this is, I don't know how it'll look when I edit later, but this one's looking kind of brown. It's actually green. It's called Green Heron, Old Brick, and Persimmon, and these were the February colors for Color and Cotton. And yeah, I actually sadly canceled my Color and Cotton Floss Club, so I will not be receiving any more flosses after this little group here. Mainly because, number one, I have so much Color and Cotton floss that I really just haven't been using, and I think it's mainly because I really don't stitch on that many things, and so, and then when I do stitch on them, it's mainly DMC that I use. So I kind of want to just put a halt on getting any more fancy floss right now, just so that I can focus on using what I do have. And maybe in the future, if I find that I'm using more of the floss more often, then maybe I will rejoin. But for now, I've just decided to kind of stop getting the floss club. And the second reason is kind of because I am trying to like be a little more, I guess, conscious of what I'm subscribed to, like financially, just to, or I guess just to save a few bucks here and there is really what it boils down to. So yeah, anyway, but I love these. I am excited to add them to literally the rest of my flosses, which I kid you not, like, where are they? This is my massive little collection. So I have them separated out by color. So these are like the purple ones, the pink ones, etc. So I will add these in with their little friends, and one day we will, maybe I will challenge myself next time I kit up something to, I could pull the DMC so I know what the colors are supposed to be, but then try to replace some of that with the Color and Cotton just to be a little more, I want to say adventurous. That's a better word. Yeah. I'm going to challenge myself to be more adventurous by using over-dyed floss when the pattern does not call for it. But yes, so that's my little ramble about Color and Cotton floss. Then my next little monthly club is the Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month club, and this, I'm in the mix club, so every other month I get color neutral, color neutral. This was a color club. I was very convinced that February was gonna be pink because Valentine's Day, but it is not. It is orange, and the color is called We Can't Elope, which I was like, at first I was like, what is that supposed to mean? But then I was like, we can't elope, we can't elope, can't elope. So anyway, it is super bright. I feel like it is like, I don't know if the lighting's probably not gonna really do it justice like most things, but it definitely has like a dreamsicle quality to it. This is the 36 count linen, and I get a fat quarter. But yeah, I was like kind of scratching my head thinking like, what the heck am I gonna put on this? I feel like maybe like a monochromatic Halloween something would be a very easy thing to put on here, but it will just go in stash for now until I can figure out what to do with it. And I'm sure the right thing will come along at some point. But anyway, this is really pretty and I'm really excited about it. Okay, so those are my little floss or monthly club things, and that's all the haul I have as well. So let me kind of gather my thoughts and then we will talk about plans. All right, so let's see, what should we talk about first? Probably WhipGo. We'll talk about WhipGo first. So like I said earlier, I'm actually caught up with my WhipGo, and since today is March the 1st, I can actually start working on the March calls, which I can't remember the numbers, but the prompts for me were a project that you started in the month this is called. So my intent for that was like, you know, if this got called for March. So that would mean that any project I already had going that had been started in the month of March would be the project I work on. But unfortunately, I don't actually have any projects that were started in the month of March. So my kind of like backup plan, I suppose, was to just pick the next month. So, because I did have a couple starts in the month of April, so Love Boat Sampler actually was started in April, so I'm going to use Love Boat Sampler as my call for stitch on a project in the month this was called. And then the other one that I had was, what was it? I might have to look it up because I genuinely cannot remember. Hold please. Oh, okay, I got it. So the other call was to stitch on a project with an animal. And so I decided to do the fox, or make the fox be the project for that call, because the fox is also something that I would like to finish, or be like next in line to get finished after Love Boat Sampler. So yes, this March I will be working on the fox and Love Boat Sampler. Hopefully I can finish Love Boat Sampler this month, and then maybe almost get done with the fox this month, which kind of leads into my next plan, which is I really want to participate in the Lola Crow 2024 Stitch Along. It is called Deadly Aquarium, and the pre-sale comes out March the 9th, and I believe the stitching will start on April the 12th maybe, and then I think you'll have a month to stitch the frame, and then at that point new parts would be coming out every week. So basically I have some plans for projects that I would like to get done before April the 12th. So for me, that is Love Boat Sampler and the fox. As you may recall, I have kind of a like unofficial rule of wanting to finish 3 projects before I start a new one. Now, obviously, I started Ruby, but I also finished her, so I'm not counting that because it was just like in and out within the same month. The token, I'm also not counting towards that like new start, I guess, because that is a very long-term project that I'm not really concerned about time frame on. So again, I wasn't really counting that either. But Frankenscat right here was finished number 1, and then number 2 and 3 should be Love Boat and the Fox. So I would really like to get those 2 finished so I can earn my new start for Deadly Aquarium. I think this is like, it's like in the weird limbo between reasonable and a stretch goal because I think it would probably be realistic if I said that I want to finish Love Boat Sampler and not even worry about the fox. I think it's a stretch goal to say I want to finish this and finish the fox. Because let's see, we can just talk about this live since I've got my computer here with my pattern keeper. So basically, Love Boat Sampler has 7,147 stitches, and I'm 40% complete with it, okay? Now, granted, I think the number of stitches for the fox is less than that. Let's see. So it looks like the fox has 6,706 stitches, and I'm 25% complete. So that's it would be a lot of stitching, and I would have to make sure that those are the only 2 projects I stitch on this month. But I feel like I definitely can at least get one of them finished and one of them almost done, and then I'll still have the first 2 weeks of April or a little shy of 2 weeks, to finish the other one before the new Stitch Along starts, because I have done other Lola Crow Stitch Alongs in the past. You can see Haunted Library right here. I do still have Greenhouse of Oddities as a whip, and so last year I had Haunted Library and Greenhouse of Oddities as whips at the same time, and they're both very big projects, and it's very dense stitching, so I really want to make sure that I actually like finish this stitch along in the time frame that it's happening rather than just letting it become a whip, because I just think that would be a fun challenge, and also I kind of wanted to do that for Greenhouse last time and it just didn't work out for me. For Haunted Library, I didn't actually even start Haunted Library until the whole like month-long stitch the frame kind of thing was almost over, so I didn't even have my frame complete before the first part came out, so I was already really behind. And then for Greenhouse of Oddities, I started on time, but I didn't get the frame done before the first part came out. So I'm really hoping that for this one, I can start on time and get the frame done before the first part comes out. That way, there's a better chance of me being able to keep up with it. Because honestly, I think that is the secret to a Lola Crow stitch along, is doing the like frame stitching and getting the frame stitching 100% complete before the next part comes out. Because the parts are actually pretty manageable for a week's worth of stitching, if you're not stitching on like a gajillion other things. So yeah, that's kind of my plans that kind of sparked my, I guess all of this was sparked a few days ago because Cam from Cam the Stitcher had just purchased some fabric for it, and this kind of sent me into this whole spiral of, you're not gonna let this be a whip, like what can we do to make sure that this isn't gonna be a whip? So this is my plan. We're gonna just be stitchy little monsters on Greenhouse, not Greenhouse, Love Boat and the Fox. But since we're talking about Deadly Aquarium, I figured I'd show you the fabric. I have no idea what it's actually going to look like, but I just imagine it's going to be on a blue fabric. So this is kind of what I'm thinking I want to use. It is a Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers called Castle in the Sky, and it looks like this. And I just feel like this screams aquarium to me. So I'm really hoping that the pattern actually is on blue fabric, and if it's not, I'm hoping that the flosses that are in it will pop off of this really well. So we will see, but that's kind of my thought process for what I want to be doing, and we will see how it goes. Obviously, I will keep you updated. But yeah, so that's kind of my plans for now, is those two projects and grinding until I can hopefully get them done. That is all my stitchy talking. I'm going to get into life stuff pretty briefly probably. Not too much has gone on. I feel like I already told you about my knitting and walking. That was one of the things I wrote down. Last weekend, I actually had a little cross-stitch girly date with my friend Maddie from Kitty Stitch, and so I met her down in Cincinnati, and we had brunch together, and then we went to Keepsakes and stitched for a little while. So that was really fun. I had been really craving some like in-person social time because I really don't have very many friends that live near me, and my family's not anywhere near me, so it definitely is like a struggle sometimes to find people to do stuff with. So I'm very grateful for Maddie and for the time that we got to spend together last weekend. And then I also have been working on a puzzle with my husband. My sister actually gave me a puzzle for my birthday last month, or I guess 2 months ago now. It's technically March. And it is a Disney Thomas Kincaid puzzle, and we finished it like last week, I think. So here's a little picture of what that looks like. It's called Sweetheart Cafe, and obviously this gave me, like, really made me want to stitch on my Sweetheart Campfire, because that is also a Disney Thomas Kincaid artwork. But I'm not gonna let that distract me from my plans. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, so I finished a puzzle, got to hang out with a friend, knitted and walked at the same time. And then what else did I write down? Oh yeah, I've been playing a lot of video games. I haven't played it, I think, in the past 3 weeks, but I did get Pikmin 4 for Christmas, and I really liked playing that. I did stop playing it for a while just because I got more into the crafty bit, and then like a couple weeks ago I kind of fell out of the craftiness and was like, I want to play Link's Awakening, which I had actually played for the first time and finished the whole game like 4 years ago, so it was kind of fun to play that again. And I didn't finish it, but I was getting really close to the end, and I kind of wanted to take a breather because I really want to like complete a lot of the stuff that I did not complete the first time I played it. There's like these secret shells, and there's only so many in the world, and I didn't complete them all the first time. I kind of wanted to find them all this time. So yeah, I was playing that. I played a little bit of Tears of the Kingdom, which is another Zelda game, last weekend. So yeah, it's just been kind of nice to do some of my other hobbies, and yeah, I think I actually I got a new planner and I think it's actually time to use it. It's an April start, but I think it actually, there's a calendar in there for March, so I might pop that out this weekend and get it all set up and ready to go. But yeah, so I'm just kind of enjoying my life, I guess, with my crafts and my video games. I haven't really been reading as much, mainly because I started a book that I wasn't really that excited about, so I decided I'm just not going to finish it, and I'm going to move on and read something else. So yeah, hopefully my reading will pick back up, because the other thing too is like this book was like a real book and not like an ebook on my Kindle, so I did borrow a couple books to read on my Kindle, so I'm excited to use that again. But yeah, that's pretty much all that's going on. I'm also really addicted to Starbucks chai tea lattes. So I gotta tell myself not to go there like every weekend to get one. I think I had 2 last weekend. But yeah, I think that's about it. Also, my friends are at Market in Nashville, and I say my friends, that's Brijin, the museum stitcher, Cam the stitcher, and Liz from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. Brijin and Liz are helping Liz from Hello from Liz Matthews, and Cam is helping Kathy Barrick, and I'm really excited for all of them, but I'm also really jealous because I want to hang out with them. But I know that I will see all 3 of those ladies, well, 4 if you count Liz. I will see both Liz's, Cam, and Brijin all this year at some point. Whether it be Stitch North, or I'll see definitely all of them at StitchCon. So yeah, anyway, I'm really excited and I'm just very happy today. So anyway, I don't have anything else to say and I'm gonna let you go before I ramble anymore. But yeah, I will see you next time. Bye!